From Nigerian Spider-Man to Turkish Captain America, here are some of the funniest and weirdest superhero movie imitations from different parts of the world. So let's get ready. But before we start, if you're new to our channel, make sure to subscribe so you'll always be updated with videos like this. This is Superman Returns, but not the version you're expecting. It's a movie made in Turkey called Superman Dönüyor, which means, yes, you guessed it right, Superman Returns. You sure about that? This was during the height of the popularity of Christopher Reeve's Superman movies. But unlike the original blockbusters, it seems like the budget for this one was quite different. In fact, it seemed like they only had enough money to buy a Superman doll. This is one of the most blatant rip-offs in the history of film. It repeatedly uses copyrighted music. I had to replace those in this video. But in the original, you'll hear the famous Superman theme song several times. Even more surprising, they also use the James Bond theme song. What's funny is, they didn't even use it in an exciting scene. While the action music is playing, the main character's just casually walking down the street, but honestly, there aren't really any exciting scenes in the whole movie.
Subscribe.
Earlier, bullets couldn't hurt Turkish Superman. He could bend the knife that touched his skin, and he wasn't hurt even when hit with a piece of wood. So why is it that when someone threw a chair at him, he suddenly got thrown backward? Is a chair stronger than a bullet? And a moment later, a simple wooden stick was enough to knock him unconscious. Didn't they already try that earlier and it had no effect? But maybe we're just expecting too much from a Turkish Superman imitation from the 70s. Or maybe I'm just being too strict. Or maybe it's normal to want to watch a movie where I don't end up shaking my head at every scene. Overall, Superman Dönüyor is a strange and very slow movie. At least it has a decent story, but its extremely boring pacing is a different story. Honestly, the most entertaining part of the whole movie is how the Turkish Superman seems to have a unique naughty vision. And since we're already talking about naughty things, what if someone made their own version of Batman?
He can't control Stay Doctor. That foreigner grew from his pineal gland.
That almost naked wrestler helps solve crimes. This is Murcielago, a Mexican imitation of Batman that was released in 1968, but with a unique, sexy concept. Instead of Batman, the main character is a Batwoman who is almost naked while fighting crime. Let's talk about the costume first. It looks like it was just bought from a cheap Halloween costume shop. This character is supposed to be rich, like the original Batman. Is that really all she can afford? From the looks of it, it seems like they didn't even have the budget to finish the whole costume. And what's even more confusing is that she actually has a better and more comic-accurate costume, but she still chooses to wear almost nothing. Isn't she cold? Doesn't she ever think that she might get stabbed or shot in the unprotected areas? And there are plenty of chances for that to happen. That could really happen, especially now that a strange villain is on the loose. Someone called Fishman. I'm not joking. The villain's evil plan is to create a mutant fish man using the spinal fluid of wrestlers. I can't really remember a story like that in Detective Comics, but honestly, I like the character Fishman. I think he could be included in Batman's official lineup of villains. Just imagine how the actor felt wearing that rubber suit. Maybe at every job interview, he introduces himself that way. But the surprises don't end there. This movie also has one of the most boring car chases in film history. During the car chase, the music playing sounds like elevator music. It really does a great job of creating a feeling of intense tension. I really can't understand what was going through the minds of the people who made this. Or maybe I have an idea, and I'm pretty sure they're not using their brains when making those decisions. Let's not beat around the bush anymore. This is really the main reason why this movie was made. Every scene, from the rubber fishman to the extremely boring car chase, seems to have been made just to justify the main character's costume. Was it worth it? Well, you be the judge. Now, if there's one superhero who can match Batman's fame and earnings, it's none other than our favorite neighbor, Spider-Man. He is well known for the saying, "With great power comes great responsibility." Or maybe not. It's time for a unique change. This is Japanese Spider-Man, a version of the character who prefers to use a machine gun and wipe out enemies rather than preach about responsibility. But surprisingly, Japanese Spider-Man is not actually a fake imitation. In the 70s, Marvel made a deal with a Japanese media company to allow each other to use their characters. And this series is the result of that agreement. Unlike the original Spider-Man, this version is an ordinary man who was given extraordinary powers by a spider-like being from space after it crashed in Japan. That spider was the last survivor from Planet Spider, and the army that destroyed their planet is now heading to Earth. Using a special bracelet, Takuya Yamashiro transforms into Spider-Man to fight the approaching threat. And that's not all, he also has his own giant robot. Now, you might be thinking, hold on, that actually sounds pretty cool. And you're right, Japanese Spider-Man is really awesome. And it's one of the most unique versions of the character. Even though the series only lasted from 1978 to 1979, it had a huge influence. In fact, because of its success, Toei included giant robots in their Super Sentai series. Yes, that's the same series that became Power Rangers in other countries, but unfortunately, not all versions of Spider-Man are as good. And even more so, not all adaptations are worth watching. Behold Spider-Man None. This is a movie made in Ghana, and one of the first things you'll notice here is the very ugly clip art web logo that looks like it was taken directly from a computer in the early 90s. In this version, Peter Parker wasn't bitten by a radioactive spider. Instead, an ordinary man was possessed by the spirit of an ancient spider god. And that's not all. He was also possessed by the ghost of a murdered woman. Whenever they appear in a scene, they even sing in a strange way. If you think that made the story clearer, not at all. Then there's a bowl that just gets opened for no reason. And honestly, I had a hard time paying attention to any scene that didn't involve this strange Spider-Man. I felt like my brain was hurting while watching the movie. He also has a villain who worships an evil god. Honestly, there's just something that looks like a floating image appearing on the screen, and I think that's supposed to be the god they're talking about. Don't expect me to give any more intelligent comments about this. I don't even know what's happening anymore. I've never watched a movie like this before. In one scene, there's a drunk man threatening his wife. In the next, there's a ghost of a woman killing someone on the side of the road. After that, African Spider-Man suddenly appears and shows off his kung fu skills. What am I really supposed to say? For the first time, I'm almost speechless. All I can do now is show you what I saw so your eyes can experience the same suffering. But seriously, what is really happening? What is the message supposed to be? Is he drunk? Wasn't he just shooting energy balls a while ago? Why does it seem like he doesn't have any bones in his body now? In the end, Spider-Man and the villain finally faced each other for the much-anticipated big battle. If I were to describe my experience watching this movie, there were times when it was so bad that it actually became funny. The way Spider-Man does push-ups while pretending to be scary, and the way he spins around like he's drunk, has a unique charm. But in other parts, I felt like I was undergoing a strange kind of punishment. It's clear that not everyone can make a good movie, but that didn't stop them from trying anyway. Let's get to know Brent Kelly, a Canadian writer, director, and actor who is more widely known around the world for not being particularly skilled in any of those three. He has made a lot of low-quality movies, but what we want to talk about today is this one, Thunderstorm: The Return of Thor. This movie is also known as Thor, Thunder, and Steel. It was released in 2011 as a mockbuster. a movie intentionally made to resemble a popular film so that consumers might mistake it for the real one. In other words, they're hoping that some grandparents will accidentally buy this for their grandchildren, thinking it's the real Thor. But it's clear that this isn't Chris Hemsworth. If you were asked what the best way to start a movie is, what would you choose? An intense action scene? A mysterious event? No. According to Brent Kelly, the best introduction is almost 3 straight minutes of continuous explanation, shown using JPEG images of Odin and Thor, as if you're just watching a PowerPoint presentation. Despite the title The Return of Thor, the story doesn't actually follow Thor. Instead, the god of thunder passes his power to a scientist named Grant. What does Grant do? He creates a suit that's clearly inspired by Iron Man. After he gained Thor's power, he could summon lightning with his hands and wore his armor. Honestly, he looks more like Electric Man than Thor. If that had been the title of the movie, maybe I would have thought better of it. But that's not what happened. Almost every scene is filled with overacting and unnatural dialogue. It feels like you're watching the very first student film of a beginner filmmaker. But my favorite part of all isn't the poor acting, nor the messy story, but the amazing special effects. Honestly, I have no idea where Brent Kelly got that dragon model. It just looks like a cheap animated GIF bought online for a few dollars. Is that really the best Asgard can offer? But how did the hero defeat the terrifying dragon? His lightning had no effect on it. You'd think that with all the movies Brent Kelly has made over the years, he would have learned how to create a scene with weight and impact. But apparently not. The finale of this movie seriously lacks power, emotion, and tension. Honestly, Brent Kelly's filmography seems like a big stain on the world of entertainment. This is a terrible joke with no punchline, and its only reason for existing is to torture the viewers. With each passing day, it feels like we're moving further away from good movies and closer to a JPEG version of Odin. But what else does he have to offer? Let's take a look at another one of his very original ideas, Iron Soldier, which was released in 2010. It's clear that this movie was made to take advantage of the popularity of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. But it didn't stop there. According to a review on IMDb written by the German user M. Grebenstein, the title of the movie in Germany is Captain USA, the Iron Soldier. This means it didn't just copy Iron Man. It also tried to copy Captain America. It doesn't matter anymore if all the characters are obviously Canadian. So the question is, have they combined Iron Man and Captain America? But is the result good? No. In many ways, Iron Soldier is even worse than Thunderstorm, the return of Thor. There are scenes where the soldiers are expressionless and just randomly firing their guns straight ahead, even though their enemies are in the air. And here's another mystery. Where did that laser even come from? If Iron Soldier was hiding on top of the tree the whole time, how did that happen? And now, behold what could be considered the 8th wonder of the world. The most unbelievable mother and child relationship in the history of film. They really don't seem like mother and child. Even though the movie tries to look like Iron Man, it hardly has any connection to the original story. The so-called Iron Soldier is not a suit of armor worn by a person. It turns out it's a robot controlled remotely. The story revolves around a group of mercenaries who want to steal that robot. And of course, all sorts of chaos follow. Needless to say, this movie is a mess. While I was watching it, I felt more embarrassed than entertained. And just think, I'm even getting paid to watch this.